And so, Doctor, if we could, let's turn to page 33 of page 37 of your report. With regards to legal sanity, did you formulate an opinion in this matter, sir?
I did.
And what is your opinion, and what is it based on?
Well, I have opinions on both arms of the legal insanity test.
Okay, so let's start with the first part of the arm.
Yeah. It's my opinion with a reasonable medical certainty that the defendant had the severe mental disease of schizophrenia at the time of the 6/3/24 offense.
And what do you base that on, sir?
Several reasons. First of all, we have the defendant's report to me. She reported a history of schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder that she had had for many years before the offenses. And the symptoms she reported, including various hallucinations and delusions, fit with the diagnosis of schizophrenia. She also reported that she had been psychiatrically hospitalized and received treatment with antipsychotic and other medications, all kind of consistent with schizophrenia. So that was one part of the reason.
Now, doctor, isn't that just self-reporting?
That's self-reporting, which we don't rely on, but we take it as one piece of data, and then we look for the presence or absence of corroboration, which in this case there was.
Okay. And that's looking at all the records, correct?
The medical records and the statement from her mother, who corroborated that the defendant had schizophrenia. And then, of course, what we know about it, that once it's diagnosed, it tends to be a lifelong illness.
So there is no question that Bionca Ellis has schizophrenia. Can we agree on that?
We agree.
Okay. All right. So your next point then, sir, with regards to your opinion.
It's my opinion with reasonable medical certainty, however, that the defendant did not have a severe mental disease or defect at the time of the June 3rd, 2024 offense that caused her to not know the wrongfulness of the offenses. So despite having schizophrenia, it did not cause her to not know the wrongfulness of the offenses.
All right. Can you explain that now to us, how you have formulated that opinion, sir?
Well, there are several reasons for it, and let me break this down here. First of all, the defendant had a rational motive for the offenses that was unrelated to her severe mental disease of schizophrenia. And there's multiple pieces of evidence that would support that rational motive.
All right, so let's talk about them. What did she tell you?
Well, she told me, when I interviewed her on June 12th of this year, that her rage caused the stabbings. Rage took control of her to make her do the, quote, wrong thing. She, quote, blanked out, which she further explained, meaning that she experienced rage and anger. She, quote, blanked out and her rage took over. She felt rage and blanked out because before the offense she was hot, dehydrated, had slept outside the previous night, had not eaten that day, and was worried about not having to pay any money and being unable to pay her rent.
Now, doctor, before we go on to B, all those things, some of those are self-report. Don't you need corroboration for that?
There is some corroboration, but I think we can also have higher confidence in motives that people self-report that are not helpful to their case, whereas if they promote a self-serving motive, then we kind of have a reason to question that and look for more corroboration.
Okay. 1B.
We look at the victim and witness accounts of the offense, which whenever I reviewed them indicated that she appeared angry close in time to the offense. So we have witness statements, first of all from Diane Spahar, the Volunteers of America store employee, told officers that Miss Ellis looked angry and distraught as she walked through the store with the knives in her hand. And then secondly, Margot Wood told officers that the defendant had an evil look on her face during the offenses, which would be consistent with anger and rage.
Well, is it consistent with schizophrenia, sir?
It's independent of schizophrenia.
How so?
It's not a symptom of schizophrenia. Anger and rage, or anger control problems and rage, are not symptoms of schizophrenia.
All right. Then you go on to C and D.
Well, thirdly, when you review the video footage from Giant Eagle and Things Outlet, to me it looks evident that the defendant does appear to be unhappy and walked in an angry, purposeful fashion, and certainly not a disorganized fashion. And then fourthly, if you look at simply the timing and sequence of events, what happened in the minutes, the 20 or so minutes before the offense, it all kinds of lines up why she would be upset. So we know that she was in the North Olmsted Police Station lobby from 1440 to 1444 hours, seeking to retrieve items she believed had been wrongly taken from her when she had been recently in jail, including cash and a gift card that she valued at $700 that she said she had to have to pay her rent and purchase food and water with. And we know that she was turned away in the lobby because the police officer that handles those complaints was not there that day. And they told her, we don't know anything about your missing items. So she was unsuccessful in her effort to retrieve her missing items from the police station. We then have directly after that, it's all on video, she goes through the parking lot, gets out of her wheelchair, gets rid of her luggage, and goes over to Volunteers of America, where she's seen walking through the store, selecting the 2 knives from the Volunteers of America. We have her then, only a few minutes later, entering the Giant Eagle store with 1 knife in hand, and then locating the victims in the Giant Eagle outside by the cash registers there, doing a 180 and turning and walking behind them, following them out, and then committing the offenses at 1500 hours. So the close relationship in time to the defendant's unsuccessful efforts to retrieve her missing $700 worth of items, the close relationship with that, with getting the knives and then committing the offenses, coupled with her acknowledged rage and anger, to me indicates a causal relationship between her rage and anger and the offenses. In fact, she's still angry about it the next morning when she's interviewed by Detective Jones. She continued to focus on her perception that she had been victimized, that she was missing 700 items, and demanding an investigation and appearing to me to be angry.
Appearing to you to be angry, sir, that's subjective, correct?
It's an observation, but it's, I guess it's open to interpretation, sure.
And was she disorganized in that interview with Detective Jones?
I don't believe so.
And what would you be looking at if she was disorganized in her thought process?
Kind of a word salad, just sentences not making sense, maybe some disorganization in her behavior as well.
But she's focused in that interview.
She's focused on getting back what she believes is her missing items, and then when she's asked about the offense, she simply asks for a lawyer, which appears to be organized.
Okay. And
Oh, so this was big. This right here, what we just saw, was the big moment of this doctor's testimony, saying that it was Bionca Ellis's rage that caused the stabbings, not schizophrenia. He's saying that rage isn't something that's part of schizophrenia. He's making it very clear that this is separate and apart with what she's been diagnosed with. In her words, she's saying that's what occurred there in his interview with her. All right, so what's the jury going to think of this? Let's bring in Sonny Slaughter and Marlo Greer. Good morning to you both. Sonny, let me begin with you. What'd you think of this testimony from the doctor?
Good morning, ladies, and good morning, Courties. I think this is excellent. And it also goes into what I said last week, that she became angry when she was at the police department and could not get her property back. That is when this whole thing started for her, that she wasn't angry during the stabbing, that she knew what she was doing. And I'm so glad that this doctor is really clear that rage is not a part of schizophrenia, which is the disease and diagnosis, and that these two are not the same, which means we need to stop saying things about people being crazy and it having to do with disease and diagnosis, which then people always equate to violence. And people that have disease and diagnosis are not always violent, and we need not say that about individuals all the time, just kind of happenstance.
Right. Marlo, I want to get your thoughts, please. What do you think the jury may be thinking hearing this bit of testimony from the doctor?
My thoughts are that they need to have a reason why. And I don't know that just being upset over missing items is going to give them that. I think they have to have some other explanation. And the explanation is the schizophrenia. So then the question really becomes, did she know what she was doing at the time? I don't think they're going to discount the schizophrenia just because it does answer the why question, which we all so much need as human beings. But the question then becomes, did she know right from wrong? And I think that this doctor's testimony, regardless of any diagnosis, she knew right from wrong when she committed this act. She said there was a disconnect in her brain. She was struggling with her brain. So I think that that's going to be the focus, is the right from wrong at the time, not the schizophrenia generally, because that does give us a why, even if it's not exactly right, but it answers that fundamental question of, why did a child have to die?
Yeah, it's just unspeakable, Marlo. It really is. And we're going to get into some of Bionca Ellis's own words in just a moment here. Apparently, this doctor's video evaluation with her is going to be played for the jury. So we're going to get to hear it straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. He just testified that she told him she blanked out, her rage took over, she had no place to go, she was hot. And so he's saying rage, anger, not symptoms of schizophrenia, saying that she did know right from wrong at the time. Now, we know this is not what the defense team says, so this is what it's coming down to. Which expert is more effective for this jury? What is this jury going to believe in terms of the facts and this expert testimony? So we'll hit the pause button here. We'll hit a break. When we come back in, we're going to watch that video played for the jury, and you're going to see and hear from Bionca Ellis. Be right back.
The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder.
Convicted for the murder of her former son-in-law. How long will the matriarch mastermind spend in prison?
Was it worth it?
The sentencing of Donna Adelson, today at 3 on Court TV.
Donna Adelson wasn't a regular mother.
She's the matriarch mastermind.
She's just being a parent, not a killer.
Victim to Verdict with Ted Rollins. Season finale, Saturday night at 8 Eastern and Pacific.
Only on Court TV.
It is great to have you with us on this Monday morning. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. Let me show you the trials we're tracking for you right now. In Wisconsin, we've got the caught in the crossfire murder trial. This is for defendant Parise Larry. This guy's accused of killing Tatiana Zek outside of her home. In Florida, we've got defendant convicted killer Mark Sievers back in court. This guy's fighting to have his conviction and his death sentence overturned. You might remember him from his trial. This case was one of the first ones we aired after we relaunched in 2019. He was convicted of hiring 2 hitmen to murder his wife, Teresa. And also happening in Florida, we've got the sentencing for Mama Donna Adelson getting underway at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. You can count on Court TV to be there for it all. Right now, we want to take you back to Ohio for the homicide case for the death of 3-year-old Julian Wood. Darling little child stabbed to death in a grocery store parking lot. He was stabbed by a woman named Bionca Ellis, and the question is, was she sane at the time that she stabbed him? We're hearing some unaired footage from the state's rebuttal witness. This is Dr. Stephen Noffsinger. And when we go back in, you're about to see the videotape of the evaluation he did on Bionca Ellis. Remember, his opinion is she knew right from wrong. He's saying she was enraged at the time of the stabbing. She was mad about her day. She had slept outside the night before. She was hot. We know that she came from the police station upset. He's saying, yes, she did suffer from schizophrenia, but that rage wasn't a symptom of it. Let's go back in.
Number 4?
4 is, this is the 4th reason why she didn't have the severe mental disease at the time of the offense, which caused her to not know the wrongfulness. There was no psychotic motive which caused her to believe that the offenses were right. And there's different types of motives. There's rational motives, there's psychotic motives, but the defendant still knew that they had done something wrong. And then there's psychotic motives, which cause someone to think that they're doing the right thing. And only the latter one constitutes insanity. So in this case, there was no psychotic motive, which caused her to believe that the offenses were right. Now, she did report to me when I interviewed her on June 12th of this year, a number of symptoms. But even if you accept those symptoms at face value as accurate, which, part of them were not corroborated by the contemporaneous evidence, but even if you take them at face value as accurate, none of them would indicate she had a psychotic motive which caused her to believe that the offenses were right. So she reported to me anxiety at the time of the offense, that she was thinking of cutting her arms, this loss of control of her body, visions of herself dying in planets and a black moon, and Satan killing her, visions about, hearing voices telling her to kill herself, feeling like she was overthrown by a monster that was stronger than me, the single voice of Satan telling her to kill herself, the strong presence from the spirits, especially Satan, that stopped her from dropping the second knife. But again, even if you accept that she experienced these symptoms, which again, they're not corroborated, but even if you accept them, had she experienced them, they would not have caused her to believe that committing the murders and the other offenses was the right thing to do. So, for example, if she heard voices telling her to kill herself, that would not cause her to believe that it was right to kill the victim. There's simply no connection there. Or feeling that Satan was present, telling her to kill herself, or that she had a loss of control of her body, that would not cause her to believe that it was right to commit the offenses.
But what if she was in a psychosis or disorganization? Her thoughts were all over the place because of her mental illness.
Well, keep in mind the legal test for insanity is not psychosis. It's not disorganization. It's very specific. It's, did she have symptoms of a severe mental disease or defect at the time of the offense that caused her to not know the wrongfulness of the offense? So not all psychotic symptoms would meet that test, and certainly thought disorganization would not.
Okay. And you have, I believe, did you hit B and C of number 4, sir?
Yes.
Okay. So number 5 and number 6.
Well, number 5 is, I asked her on June 12th, and this is on the video, did you know at the time of the offense that it was against the law to stab other people? And she clearly said yes. She knew that it was illegal.
Okay. And so, doctor, before we get to a few other opinions, we're going to play just a portion of the video. We're going to start, this is State's Exhibit, I'm sorry, State's Exhibit 204. It is 3 hours in length. We are going to start, hold on a minute, at 2:23:45.
Do you want me to introduce it first, or just play it?
Well, I'm going to ask you as soon as Julian just gets it ready. All right, Doctor, are you in this video?
Right, there's a small cutout there in the bottom left, so I'm there in the extreme bottom left in the white shirt.
And where was this interview conducted, sir?
In this building at the Sheriff's Department,
And who was present for this interview?
just me and Miss Ellis.
Okay, and is that customary to meet with the suspect by yourself?
Yes?
All right, and so we're going to play at 2:23:45, and we're going to play it to 2:57:30.
You're going to play it continuously?
Yes,
2:23 to 2:57.
yes, that was the agreement that was reached.
24 minutes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So, Doctor, when you're at this particular point, what point in the interview are you at here?
Right, so we've been talking for 2 hours and 24 minutes. So the first hour and a half, we had gone through the informed consent and all the background histories. And right about 1 hour 50, we started talking about the offense, and that was the rest of the interview. So we had a total about 1 hour and 10. So at this point, we're about half an hour to 40 minutes into it. And so we've already gone over the much of the offense already. And I'm going back and asking some clarifying questions. And she's, up to this, she's told me, that she blanked out, that something took over control of her body. And so later on, we kind of talk about that in some more detail. But
So again, you're going to play continuously, no discussions, right? We're not gonna
Correct. That
interrupt.
was the agreement by the parties.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, go ahead. Thanks.
So it happened by accident, So I'm just trying to understand.
You want to pause it for a moment? So, Ms. Patel, yeah, turn mine up. Let's see if does it go any hot louder. I can't. Right there. So I'd put it. Were some of you having problems hearing it? Yeah. So this is the maximum. So let's go from here.
So it happened by accident, So I'm just trying to understand. Did you know there was laws against stabbing people at that point? Yeah. And everyone knows that. You were kissed on the head. So you knew it was illegal. Did you have any thoughts that they were going to attack you? But again, my question is, did you have any thoughts that they were going to kill you?
Okay, so this is the videotape of the interview that testifying expert witness did with Bionca Ellis, and we acknowledge it's very hard to hear. You could hear them in the courtroom having a hard time turning up the volume for the jury. So what we're going to do is fast forward a little bit to a portion where we can hear things a bit better and kind of summarize what we're learning from this interview for you. Don't go away. This is Court TV Live. We are your front row seat to justice.
I saw a woman stabbing a mother and child. I saw the knife covered in blood. I saw violent motions towards a mother and her child.
This is a battle of the experts we're seeing in Cleveland, Ohio, in the case against defendant Bionca Ellis. Experts on both sides agree that this woman was suffering from schizophrenia at the time. But where they disagree is the effects of that mental disease. Because Bionca Ellis's own words were that she was feeling rage. Her rage took over at the time of the stabbings. And this doctor on the stand is saying rage isn't a symptom of schizophrenia, that it indicates that she did know what she did was wrong. So let's go back in now. We've kind of fast forwarded that tape to the point where we can hear it a little bit better. Let's go back in.
Was the stabbing like a way to express your rage? Were you frustrated? But I'm still left trying to kind of make sense of this. Is there anything else you can do to explain this? So, when your lawyer invented a plea of insanity, what do you think about that? Is that something that you see as a positive or a negative outcome?
All right.
Do you know if you're convicted of this, what kind of sentence you could?
That's it. All right. All right, Dr. Noffsinger.
Why don't we take a minute? You want to stand up and stretch your legs, anybody? Readjust. Get you back in tune here, please. Sure.
Now, Dr. Noffsinger, suffice it to say that we just saw, give or take, 20 minutes of that interview. But in fact, that's a 3-hour-long interview that you conduct with Ms. Ellis. Is that fair?
Correct. And again, the last hour and a quarter was over the offense, and so this is just the final part of discussing the offense.
Okay. And, sir, with regards to, I believe you mentioned hindsight, and then Dr. West actually mentioned hindsight bias. What does that mean?
Hindsight bias is someone knows the outcome of an event and then form opinions about people's conduct that took place before the event.
Okay.
And it's something we're trying to avoid because you have to place yourself in a person's shoes, what they knew at the time, not having knowledge of the bad outcome, the bad event later.
Okay. And with regards to rational or irrational connections, with regards to your interview with Ms. Ellis on June 12th of 2025, was she able to relate to you where she was in her mindset with regard to the incident?
She was ultimately, yes. We had a good hour of her basically not wanting to talk about it, saying, I blanked out, I lost control. And to me, that it just doesn't explain the situation. And so I persisted through the course of that hour and pushed back and said, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. This is not a symptom of schizophrenia to blank out or to lose control. And we finally have there at the conclusion then her, I think, finally saying what really happened, which was that her rage took over. She was angry about about her situation, and that was the motive for the offense.
And that's corroborated with the other information that you have in this case.
It's heavily corroborated by, first of all the absence of objective signs of mental illness during the offense, all the video, how she interacted with the police, the witness statements, and the fact, again, that she does look to appear to be angry, and by the offense itself, three stabbings.
Three stab wounds.
Yeah, this is really, really bad, what happened to little Julian Wood. What are you convinced of at this point in time after hearing from both sides? So they're agreeing on the diagnosis, but disagreeing on whether she suffered from that disease or defect in her mind that would cause her to not know the difference between what's right and what's wrong. Share with us your thoughts on social media. I've seen some of them coming in this morning. I appreciate all the insights from all of you members of our Cordy family. Let's bring in Sonny Slaughter and attorney Marlo Greer. Great to have you both on the show this morning. Sonny, start us off, please. Your thoughts at this point as we're getting more information from Bionca Ellis.
You know, once again, I want to say how horrific this is for little Julian and his family. They will never be the same. He is gone forever, and I really hate this. But unfortunately, this is a woman that does have a disease and diagnosis. I'm sure she has had this for a very long time. And what I believe is that she knew right from wrong at the time of the incident. I believe that she was angry. I think that the jury is going to see that. And they're going to understand that, even though it's complicated. And we all know someone with a history of disease and diagnosis around mental health. We all know someone, even if they're in our families, or we know someone that knows someone. So this is not foreign to us, but this crime is horrific and heinous.
Right. It sure is, Sonny. I've seen several Cordys agreeing with your analysis on this one, sharing their comments. And we really have to dive deep into this one, don't we? Marlo, when we think about the inquiries here, you know, it's not as simple as just she was unwell. Well, yeah, I think anybody could take a look at her and see her swinging the knife and the giant eagle and know she was unwell. But the question, as we were discussing earlier, really has to unpack so many layers of her mental health and what she believed and perceived at the time, doesn't it?
It does. And was she unwell at the time? And is that when she actually committed the stabbing? Is it when she walked up? You asked everybody's thoughts, you know, what's going on in your mind, and I just kind of want to weigh in on that, which is my thought is this doctor is such a seasoned expert witness. I don't know that the jury will see this, but the one thing that stood out to me was the fact that when the video came on, he said, "Oh, do you want me to introduce it first or just play it?" And as lawyers, we know that what we have to do is something that's super boring called lay a foundation. He already knew that. And the other thing that I'm struck by is that he's saying a couple things that a quick Google search would reveal aren't accurate. And while the jury is not supposed to Google, the question is, what is the defense going to come back and say? He indicated rage is not a symptom of schizophrenia. Aggression is a symptom of schizophrenia. And that's, you know, again, a quick Google search. The blanking out, which is also a symptom of schizophrenia, but he said that it wasn't. And so is he going to go too far and therefore give the defense something to pick at? And the other thing that struck me, if I may, is that one part of her brain is saying this is wrong, and the other part is saying, do this. What do you do with that as a juror?
These jurors are going to have a lot to think about here. This is tricky. I see why this went to trial. I really do. I know that Bionca Ellis has excellent counsel. I know that. Her counsel is very, very, very seasoned. They've done a great job for her. So I got to tell you, I wouldn't be surprised if this jury goes either way. There's more from the doctor on the stand called by the state of Ohio. So we're going to watch that. Marlo and Sunny, thank you so much. We'll be right back with more Court TV Live. And here's a look at the victims as we head to break. That is Margot Wood with her 3-year-old son, Julian. He is certainly not forgotten as we progress through this trial. He would be 4 years old if he were alive today.
I'm going to ask you a lot of intensely personal questions. How do you explain it? The worst crime anyone can imagine. Do you feel like you took the fall for this murder? Tell me in your own words, what happened? Let's get started.
Interview with a Killer. New season premieres Saturday, October 25th. Only on Court TV.
Before we get you back to court, I have some updates for you from over the weekend regarding the case against former NFL quarterback Mark Sanchez. Look at this. This is his booking photo because he was booked over the weekend, had to be processed in the jail, but then released from custody. He's a current analyst for Fox Sports, stabbed after police say that he attacked a truck driver in Indianapolis the previous weekend. He's looking at a felony battery charge as well as several misdemeanor charges for what prosecutors say was all over a parking space. Sanchez had to be hospitalized with stab wounds to his upper right torso. This was from Sunday, this photo taken with his booking. This is a photo taken from the hospital of the victim in this case, the truck driver who his legal team says he was permanently disfigured from this attack, and they have filed a civil lawsuit on his behalf. So Mark Sanchez looking at problems both in criminal court and in civil court. We'll keep you posted as the case progresses. In the meantime, we're in Ohio for a homicide case over the death of a little 3-year-old child named Julian Wood. Question is the defendant someone who didn't know right from wrong at the time she stabbed little Julian? We got the state's expert witness on the stand on rebuttal. Let's go back in.
3 stab wounds.
Three actions would, to me, be consistent with rage.
And doctor, therefore, based on a reasonable medical certainty, did you come to your final opinion in this case, sir?
I did.
And what was that opinion?
Well, for all the reasons we've gone over, it's my opinion that at the time of the act, Bionca Ellis had a severe mental disease of schizophrenia, but it did not cause her to not know the wrongfulness of the offenses.
And sir, just briefly, you know that Dr. West authored a report.
Yes.
Did you review that report prior to preparing your report?
Yes.
And what were your observations with regards to her report?
I have some concerns both about her methodology in doing the assessment and some concerns about her opinions.
All right. So let's talk briefly about the methodology.
Well, first of all, we have only a she didn't number the pages, but I think I counted them, 16-page report.
Correct.
So I think that's a very sparse treatment of a very complex situation involving very serious offenses. I think it did not get the analysis, the full analysis that it deserved. Secondly is that although she lists in her sources of information all the video evidence, she really gives it no consideration in her report. And I would argue That is the most important evidence, the contemporaneous evidence. We have on page 10 and 11 of her report, and the first quarter of page 12, her treatment of what she calls the collateral account of the offenses, which is her summary of the police records. So the police records and the video in this case were voluminous, and yet she attempts to summarize it down into 2 pages. She doesn't even say that she didn't do her own analysis of the video. She simply describes the police officer's description of the video, not Dr. West's own interpretation of the video. But even more importantly, in her opinions, she never incorporates all the contemporaneous data into her opinions. She relies heavily on what Ms. Ellis told her, her self-report made, I believe, 8 months later, that is largely uncorroborated by the contemporaneous evidence. And then finally, there's just holes in her reasoning. She makes an opinion and then attempts to lay out some evidence, but the evidence, in fact, does not support the opinion she's trying to make.
And is it fair to say, Doctor, that in that report, a lot of the evidence that she relies on is the self-reporting of Bionca Ellis?
Exactly. Point 1, she makes 4 subpoints, A, B, C, and D. Every one is Miss Ellis stated, Miss Ellis stated, Miss Ellis said that, Miss Ellis reported. And that's a fundamental error in doing sanity evaluations, is you don't rely solely on what the defendant says. You instead look for corroboration in the contemporaneous data. But then even the points, even if you accept it, at face value is accurate, it still doesn't indicate that the defendant didn't know the wrongfulness of the offense. So 1A is Miss Ellis stated that she was experiencing auditory hallucinations, noting someone's got to die, which made her feel very afraid. Even if she did that, how does that get her to believe that the offenses are right? Secondly, Miss Ellis stated, my brain just snapped. I went blank. I had no control.
All right, and so we're going to see the cross-examination of this doctor tomorrow morning when court resumes. They have the day off today for the holiday.